Hey everyone, my name is Liz Brassaw. I'm the Chief Flight Instructor here at Thrust Flight. Stage checks are really important for students so that they can have intermediate checks on how they're progressing or how they're moving forward in their training.
To start, I was very nervous about it. Although we prepared, got with the other students, my classmates were great about getting together. Still nervous because I wanted to do my absolute best.
I can't lie, I'm pretty excited about this.
I think I did fairly well, considering. I could have done better, but I passed, so that's what matters.
The stage check allows us to see if they've learned all the initial knowledge or beginning knowledge before they move on to more complex skills, and really helps the student prepare for the end exam with a few, I'm going to call them dry runs along the way, right? The stage check really replicates the end check ride and the questions that will be asked there so that the student doesn't just find out the mode and the format for that check ride at the very end. They get to do little tests of it along the way and prepare.
So what factors were challenging to me during stage check? I think number one for me was going to be communications, because communicating is essential to safety, and Thrust strives on safety, and I want to be as safe as I possibly can for myself and the instructor. So I think no matter how much practice I get, things change while you're in flight. They give you different instructions at times. So I think that was one of the challenging parts of it.
The stage check has to be conducted by a check instructor. That's somebody other than the student's primary instructor. So not who they do their regular lessons with, someone else that comes with an outside eye and looks at how is the student overall retaining and understanding the information. So they usually meet for about a 3-hour period. They'll do an hour of groundwork together where they're asking the student about topics and to apply the knowledge. Maybe they give them a few scenarios and see what would they do if they were actually the pilot. And then they go fly with the student and they see how much skill they've attained at that point in time.
The other challenging part to my stage check was probably slow flight, for example, trying to get into the right speed, keeping the same altitude during a turbulence or thermals. You don't know what to expect exactly while you're up there. Being able to try to adjust to those conditions was a little challenging, but we got it done. The other challenging part, I would say, is just the overall nerves that I had to begin with. It was my very first stage check ever. Now, I knew what to expect ahead of time, but it's always different as you're in the moment. I was able to get through it just fine with my instructor.
So the check instructor has had special training on how to evaluate a student, ask questions without giving away the answer, be able to assess whether a student guessed on an item and guessed right, or if they actually know the content and form questions in the same way an examiner would. So it's a pretty thorough evaluation, but at the same time applicable to the stage they're at. It's not the end, you should know all of this to be a good pilot, right? It's like, what should you know for the stage you're at?
What was my result on the stage check? I passed. Now, there was some things I could have done better, but overall I did very well. So on communication, for example, there was maybe 1 or 2 instances where I didn't repeat the entire message that was sent to me, and the instructor came in and corrected it.
So if a student fails a stage check, they receive retraining from their primary instructor. So they go back to the instructor that gives them their normal training lessons, right? And they re-go over those topics that they failed on. It could be part of the ground items or part of the flight items or both. And then they retest on the stage check. So they'll go back to a check instructor and be re-evaluated on those topics as a whole. And should they be successful, right, move on to the next stage of training.
A couple months ago, I never thought I'd be even flying a plane. Now I'm just completed a solo. Super excited about that. Even 2 days later, I'm still excited about it. The next upcoming challenge is going to be my cross-country solo. Nervous, but I think I'm already prepared for it, so I'm feeling good about it.